Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Chalk Talk. I am your host, Kim Davis. Today is Tuesday, June the 13th. So, for all of you Geminis out there celebrating, happy birthday. I know many of you, and I just wanted to say happy birthday to you. What a busy time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for being flexible about the time of the show. Just know that when I change the time of the live show, it's because something else is happening that I need to be a part of. And of course, this summer it has been the Houston Texans. Today was the first day of mini camp. There are only 2 days, but it is mandatory mini camp. So I will let you hear from head coach D'Amico Ryans a little bit later in the show. We've got some really cool things that I want to talk about. I want to share with you on today's show. But as always, as we get started, I want to remind you about some of the people that help us do this each and every week. It's our sponsors. I Love Jinka, a long time partner with Chalk Talk, and in fact, the KD company in general, is expanding. And I told you that this is the week of expansion. So be on the lookout. You're going to see some cool stuff about I Love Jinka. It's a turmeric paste that's also now in a capsule, and it's in a powder. There are a number of ways you can get this goodness in your body. And why do you need it? Because it helps to eliminate inflammation, right? Any kind of inflammation. And inflammation is a root of a lot of the things that ails us. Our cholesterol, if you have those issues, or high blood pressure and aches and pains with your joints. Turmeric, which is one of the key ingredients, a high grade of turmeric is known to help with pain and inflammation. And so you want to get this turmeric paste in your body. You're going to find out a whole lot of additional ways that you can do what we call Jinka, how to use Jinka. So stay tuned to that. HEB, if you're in Texas, this is where you find it. Any HEB store that has a healthy living section. If you want to get it, you go to the store, and here's where you look for it.
Here at HEB, in the Healthy Living Department of Probiotics, you can find Jinka 7 days a week.
Yeah. Look at a lot of Jinka syrup. Look at that. Jinka.
Don't forget about Kimmy Treats. It's the vegan popcorn. You can get it online, or if you are in Houston, you can go to Sunshine Vegetarian Deli near the Medical Center on Old Spanish Trail. You can also get body butter and Kimmy bars. You will not be sorry. And of course, last but not least, you want to check in with Stephanie. We'll have her look at your skin and tell you what you can do to make sure you protect it and that it's healthy. But even more than all of that, when you go, it's just an amazing experience. You're going to feel like you are at a spa, on a retreat. You will not be sorry. And our good friends over at Champ. Champ is an organization that helps do provide services for veterans. They partner with other organizations. They have a wealth of information. And so we encourage you to check out Champ, right? And here's a number I want you to remember, 988. If you see someone who is in crisis, doesn't need 911 for a medical emergency, but maybe having some sort of a mental crisis, that's the number to call, because you can get the right people on scene to help with that. Veteran, whoever it is. So I'm encouraging you to remember that number as well. We appreciate our good friends Sam and Kayla Alex over at Champ for partnering with us here on Chalk Talk, and of course all of you. So I mentioned that today was mini camp. We're going to talk about that. As you know, and if you don't know, you're in luck. I'm going to let you know. Last night, the Denver Nuggets closed out the NBA Finals by defeating the Miami Heat. They won the series 4-1. What a series it was. Denver just had a lot more talent. I think that's, people asked me before, who do you pick? I said, well, I would pick Denver. I'm kind of pulling for Miami, but I don't have any problem with Denver winning. But Denver clearly had the more talented roster, and they were, they did lose a game at home, but they won. They were able to win the next three, right? They won 2 in Miami and came back and won the last one at home. So congratulations to the Denver Nuggets. So the NBA season, the season is officially over. Now we're going to turn our attention to what's happening in free agency. We'll talk about that more. We'll have Kelly come back on. He's a wealth of information. He joined us a few weeks ago. We'll still talk about what's happening around the league, and more importantly, what is happening with the Houston Rockets, right? Who do we think they're going to select in the draft? Will they package that pick and trade it? Are they thinking about bringing back James Harden? Are they really looking at Kyrie Irving? What in the world is going on? I don't know the answers to all those things yet, but we will explore them over the next few weeks and share it with you. So we'll bring in some of the experts who this is what they do, is NBA basketball, and have them help us kind of navigate what is happening. That is coming up. But I did not want the day to pass without saying, in case you didn't know, that the Denver Nuggets are now your new NBA champions. The Houston Astros are back home. They've home for a 9-game homestand. They are playing the Washington Nationals. And then they will play host to the Cincinnati Reds. So it's a National League week for them. Game time tonight is at 7:10. The Nationals are in town. Remember that matchup in the World Series a couple years ago? The Nationals got the best of, a few years ago, rather. I think it was 2019, got the best of the Astros. And but it's a new day, it's a different day. So all that is happening. But what I wanted to start with today, and I said it if you saw any of the promos, and I'll get back, I'm going to let you hear from head coach D'Amico Ryans. I'm going to let you hear from the owners, Cal and Hannah McNair. And also, I do want to mention that JJ Watt is going in the Ring of Honor. So he has kind of come back. He's retired. There was he had a Zoom call with media earlier today. I'll let you hear from that a little bit later. Not in this show, but no big surprise that JJ Watt would be going if he wanted to, and I can't imagine that he would not, into the Ring of Honor. He'll be joining the founder and owner, the founding owner and partner of the team, Bob McNair, Andre Johnson, and now JJ Watt becomes the third person that will go into this Ring of Honor. So huge congratulations to him and to the team, because they know it was important to them, especially to Mrs. McNair, the mother, that JJ kind of come back and be a part of the fold in the mix. But I wanted to start today talking about Freedman's Town, right? I played a little bit last week of the Houston Rockets, had a day of service where they went over to Freedman's Town. And so we got a chance to go and follow them and cover them. And, whenever I get a chance to visit historical sites, especially Freedman's Town, I'm super familiar with it. A place that, formerly enslaved people were settled, and a community that they built and started. Some of the original brick streets are still there. They're trying to preserve this area. If you happen to be in Houston, I encourage you to go to their website and check it out. There's just so much to know about Freedman's Town, right? It's freedmanstown.org. They have a conservancy. And so if you go there, you can find, just a ton of information about Freedman's Town. You can get a tour, and you can participate if you'd like to support, either financially or by volunteering. There are a number of things that you can do. You will not be sorry if you go and check it out. So it's the Conservancy. It's a nonprofit that's really trying to preserve and protect what's there. They're partnering with people like the Houston Rockets to do to rebuild and bring some things to Freedman's Town. I wanted to share with you. So we did take a tour. I'm going to show you a little bit of that. But here is Gretchen, the team president of the Houston Rockets, talking about this work. And this was not the first time the organization was in Freedman's Town. Now it's over near Buffalo Bayou. It's in 4th Ward. It's a couple blocks from the Bayou. It's just 2 minutes from downtown. So naturally, it's a place that's close in proximity to the Houston Rockets. But here's what Gretchen Shear, the Rockets team president, had to say.
Yeah, so for the last few years, we have been coming out every June touring Freedmanstown with our staff, with clients, with our family, really learning the history and the resiliency of the folks and the free slaves that settled this years and years ago, and the community that they were able to build. And obviously, it has gone through significant transition over the last 150 years. And today we're here to help save one of the original houses and put it in good condition so that a new family can live in it. Why is it important?
So what I thought was cool about that is that they do a day of service, but they bring staff and coaches and players and clients, right? So not only are they providing the service, are they spending time in Freedmanstown, but they're also, introducing it to other people. And I just thought that was really cool, right? And so with Juneteenth coming up, this is the weekend that people in Texas and I guess other parts of the country that are starting to celebrate Juneteenth. It's this coming weekend. Juneteenth is next Monday. What better time, to talk about Freedmanstown? And for those who are in Houston, to encourage you to check it out. Now, Zion Escobar is the executive director of the Freedmanstown of the Conservancy. And she gave us a tour. She walked us through some things. I'm going to share with you. First, I'm going to share her really talking about why this is important to do this, and the house that the Rockets, the organization, and their volunteers and staff and partners were working on, why this house. And so here is Zion talking about the work they're doing and why it's so important.
So if you look at this house, you may say, what's the urgency to save this one? Well, this house was constructed in the 1920s. So very few things are left in Houston from that era. So this is a historic contributing structure inside of the Freedmanstown Historic District, which was designated in 1985, which the aim of that by many, many advocates and activists who've been here in the community longer than I've been alive was to ensure this community can't be just wholesale demolished and erased, and its history going along with it. And so this structure is proof of some of the last, single digit percentage, less than 10% of the original historic fabric in this community is left, right? And so this is one of the last ones left. And so that's why we must protect and preserve it. That's why we're restoring it. And there's a need for housing, so don't tear it down. Let's renovate it. Let's make it beautiful. Let's make it modern and keep it going.
When you think about that, you think about all the people that, if you're a native Houstonian, and I understand that we're rare, there are not a whole lot of us. And when you meet people from other places, it reminds you that Houston is a newer city than some parts of the country. And so we definitely don't want to lose the history we have, especially that of Freedmanstown and the formerly enslaved people who were able to build community and houses and streets and do all the things that they did. We want to preserve that history and also make it available, because housing is important. There's only so much land, and make this land, that these homes that people can move into and have thriving communities in those spaces again. There's condos and townhomes that have moved into the area, but I just think it's really important. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, Ellen. Yes, it is mini camp time. It's 2 days of mini camp. Then there's a break, and then training camp starts in late July, and then it is on until the end of the season in January or February. Hey, Tony, good to see you. I've only moved the live stream the last 2 weeks because last week the Texans were practicing. It was the last day of OTAs, and so we had some availability, and it was the same time as I normally do the show. And then today I moved the show time because of mini camp, and I wanted to be able to be at mini camp. It's mandatory, so all the veterans were there. And yes, Laramie Tunzel was there as well. And so that's why it's moved, but it'll go back to 11 next week. I'm hoping to have a really special guest next week for you guys. John Wooten. I'm working on it with a friend and colleague, Leonard Moon. John Wooten started the Fritz Polish Alliance. He's just a wealth of information. He's been really instrumental in moving the bar in terms of Black coaches and executives in the National Football League. And he's done this work for years, and he's on the ballot. He's a VIP that's on the ballot to get into the Hall of Fame as a contributor. But one of the challenges is that contributors are also lumped in with coaches and general managers. So anyway, I want you to hear from John Wooten. So hopefully he'll be available. And if it's not next week, it will be soon. So there is that. Yes, Tony, the Rockets have to spend money to reach salary floor, to reach the salary cap, to reach salary floor. I'm not sure what you mean, but that they do have to spend some money, and they are planning to spend some money this year on, they've got some cap space in terms of free agents. So they've got to figure out what they're doing with the number 4 pick. Are they keeping it? Are they trading it? Are they going to package it to try to get a player in? Who is a player? What is a veteran that they're going to go out and get and spend the money on? We've heard the talk about James Harden. I will tell you, for those of you who sometimes side inbox me or shoot me notes, yes, that is a real possibility. It absolutely is. I know that James Harden wants a max contract. I'm hoping the Rockets wouldn't do that. I just think that he's not at the point where you would give him, at this point in his career, to tie up that kind of salary and those kind of dollars and commit to 4 years. It'll be interesting. And Kyrie Irving, is that what y'all really want to do? I mean, do you think the Kyrie experiment is going to work? Because here's the deal, y'all. And I'm going to get back to Freedman's Town, but he brought up Rockets, so I'm going to share it. There's no question about the talent of Kyrie Irving. I mean, he's very, very talented. When he is available and decides that he wants to be a part of what you're doing, there's no question about his next level ability. The question is, how available will he be? What will happen? What might happen during the season that makes him say, yeah, I don't like this, I'm out, I need a break, I got to chill? I mean, I don't know. What is it? And do you want to, is that the answer? What are you trying to do with the Houston Rockets? Are you just trying to say, let's get a name to try to get more people in the stands? Win a few more games? I mean, what is the goal? I heard Tillman say the day that he signed and we had the press conference, they had the press conference introducing the new head coach, Ime Udoka, to the media and the city, that this is the next phase now. So I'm thinking he's ready to win. I don't know that that's the best move, but we will have to keep paying attention. You're very, very welcome for the information. Freedman's Town, it is HoustonFreedmanstown.org. I'm going to put it in the chat so that you guys can all see it, where you can go and get information about it. There it is. So I've posted in the chat, wherever you're looking at it, I'm going to pin it. I'm going to star it so it stays at the top. Go there. You can get information about what Freedman's Town is. You can find out how you can get a tour. You can also find out if you've got a group and they want to volunteer or do some work, go to HoustonFreedmanstown.org and see how you can help preserve something that's definitely worth preserving. Here is Zion Escobar talking more about Freedman's Town, and it's not just relevance, but its importance. Wait, I'm moving one thing. And its importance, not just to Houston, but really everywhere. Zion Escobar.
Right. So we think that it's very important for Houstonians, for Texans, for all Americans really to know the story of Freedman's Town, because really Freedman's Town is a microcosm of what's happening all throughout Houston, all throughout America, as far as change, displacement, rising cost of living, and how amenities and services that help build community, that help solve generational problems, how those things are quickly fading away. If you know about the story of Freedman's Town, you will capture in that story kind of what's happening all across the world, all across America specifically. And so we invite people in to projects like this, and we ask them to go to alliesofFreedmanstown.com to be able to support efforts like this, because when you support efforts like this, you are literally investing in our ability to make sure that for generations to come, these historic structures are here. You can tell their story. Someone needs to move back into the community who maybe was formerly displaced, and you actually have to change the trajectory and create an opportunity for wealth building. This becomes a starter home for someone who goes on to buy or build their larger home, their next home. And so we're helping to change that pipeline of what it means to build wealth in historic Black communities.
Can you talk about how important it is, not just for the Rockets to come and help you, and I mean by you, the community, but for them to actually understand what's happening here?
So, it's beautiful to actually have a team, to have a group of people who are so good at what they do come out and be a newbie, you know, to begin again and to learn something, learn a story they've never heard. And what we want to do is keep that going. Every Texan should want to aspire to be like these Rockets players and the coaches and the managers and the staff. They now know something you don't know. They've had an experience that's changed their life and how they see the city that they're repping. They can now connect into the ethos and the soul of this city of Houston and say, man, this is where Black Houston started. This was the mother ward. I'm playing for the home team here, right? And it just changes how you feel about your city. And it lets people know there's history in Houston. And so we thank the players, we thank the team, the staff, and everyone for showing that this is worthy of their time. And we invite others to say that it's worthy of their time and their investment as well.
So that is Zion Escobar. She did promise that she would come on the show. So I am going to have her come on so we can have a whole conversation. You guys can meet her and ask questions of her. She's got a wealth of information. I posted on my social some of the tour that we took. I encourage you to go there on my Instagram, KimYDavis.com, or even on my Facebook page. If you're watching it, you can go back and see. Because of the video, I couldn't really, because of its vertical video, I couldn't really post it here on the show. But I just think it's cool, you know, walking the streets and listening to some of the stories, and it's just really cool to know. And so I was glad that this was the day of service that the Rockets selected, right? It was meaningful. And quite frankly, whatever you do to give back and volunteer, it's meaningful. So I don't want to diminish some other project or volunteer effort. This one just really resonated with me personally. And I thought it was very cool, especially because the Houston Rockets have so many young players, to expose them, right? The new coach who just got here, Ime Udoka, who's just kind of finding his way, for this to be one of the first community projects, community exposure, one of the first times he was exposed to the Houston community and to learn this rich history. Because as Zion said, this is a microcosm. This is happening across the entire country. And you need to know this and need to know about the resilience of the people who were able to start and build this community and the fight to now preserve it. It is, was settled, as I said, by formerly enslaved people after the Juneteenth announcement of emancipation in 1865. And so it has faced ongoing disintegration of its historic character and assets. So the Conservancy, which is a different organization, right, that I mentioned, is raising money to pay for the purchase and restoration of the house that you saw, the one the Rockets have partnered with and are working on. It's 1609 Saulnier Street. So I also put a link, if you're interested. There's a GoFundMe to actually pay to renovate this house and to do the work. Here's something in case you didn't know. Freedman's town originally contained more than 530 historic structures within the 40 block area. Now there are less than 50 contributing structures standing. So our collective history is erased with each demolition. We have to do whatever we can to preserve the history of these buildings and ensure that it's preserved by the city of Houston in perpetuity, and prevent the gradual destruction of Houston's Freedman's town. Like, this place needs to always be alive and a part of our community, right? So anyway, I wanted to just share a little bit about that. As you can tell, I have a special place in my heart for Freedman's town. And I thought, yes, and we're talking about Juneteenth. Let's throw in something with Chalk Talk today as kind of our big interview segment, if you will, about, something that happened as a result of Juneteenth. Right after Juneteenth, when the announcement reached Texas, Freedman's town was founded in 1865, and it's definitely worth celebrating. And so, just if you drive on the Pierce Elevated, you pass by it all the time. It's right to your. If you're going north, it's to your left. If you're headed south, it's to your right. Like, it's right there. So I'm encouraging you to check it out. Okay. More on Freedman's town coming up. I have some more things that I'll sprinkle in next week. And again, hopefully we're going to have John Wooten joining me next week. We're back at 11 in our regular time slot. And again, I will only move this show when there are conflicting things that I'm covering. And this summer, the OTAs were at that time, and then today mini camp. So we'll figure out what to do about training camp when it comes in late July. Because there's so many days of it, I might leave the show where it is, but we shall see, right? Stay tuned for that. So speaking of the Houston Texans, as I mentioned, they are having mini camp. The veterans are there. The ones who weren't there for OTAs, they had a really good, they had pretty good attendance for OTAs, but mini camp is mandatory. So everybody else was in the house, right? Everybody who's healthy and able. And this, a couple people that we wanted to hear about, there's always questions about CJ Stroud and how he's coming along. Now, mind you, he hasn't gotten even to training camp yet, but I will tell you that head coach D'Amico Ryans said he's growing. The thing that he likes most about CJ is he never makes the same mistake twice. He's very coachable. He's like a sponge, and whatever you tell him, he grasps it, right? And you don't have to tell him that thing again. So that's what he said about CJ. And then someone asked him about what's the plan for how you're going to use the quarterback, in terms of bringing him along slowly. Like, what's your plan? And this is what Coach Ryan said.
For me, it's with the quarterback. It's all about confidence, right? We want him to rip it, right? We want him. If you see it, go through your progression. You see it, make it happen, right? We understand. Not every ball is going to be perfect. You're not going to protect it all the time, but I never want our quarterback playing afraid to make a mistake. I want everybody playing to their maximum potential and attacking everything that we do.
So you heard what he said, right? What he said was, I don't want the quarterback to be scared, right? I want you to go out there and play to your maximum potential. Not hot dog, not do stuff that you shouldn't do, but I want you to play, and I want you to leave it all on the field. I love that, right? Because they're young, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to, he's going to have to learn. And I say that because I'm talking about CJ Stroud. There's no doubt in my mind that CJ Stroud will be the starter of this. We started for the Houston Texans, if not on opening day, when they traveled to play in Baltimore against the Ravens, not too long after, right? So I am not that caught up in whether he's practicing with the ones or the twos at this point. It was OTAs last week. It's the mini camp today. And so they're just rotating him. I think it's way too soon. I think once training camp gets here and is underway for a bit, like I don't think the first or second day of training camp that we're going to absolutely know. I think once we kind of get into training camp, right, it's several weeks, that then we'll start to be able to see, like, okay, this is how the season is going to start. And this is when we will probably see young CJ Stroud step into that starting position. But the veterans speak highly of him, about his leadership, how he commands a huddle, but also about the way he moves and listens and tries to learn. I think that's a great combination. I'm excited to see what it looks like when they get it all together in training camp and ultimately on the field. So the other thing that Coach Ryan's talked about, the other player, he talked about several, but he was asked about Christian Harris, right? Christian Harris, a linebacker out of Alabama, was a rookie last year, started late because he had an injury coming into the season. But what we saw from him when he did get in late in the season was impressive. And it makes you think, okay, there's a lot of this is somebody who is going to be impactful on that defense. And so here's what Coach Ryan said about Christian Harris.
God-given ability. There aren't many linebackers who are as fast and as explosive as Christian Harris is. So that excites me about him, what he's capable of becoming in this league. He's capable of becoming a really, really great linebacker, right? And he just has to continue to improve. And I saw it today at practice. It was fun to watch, right? Seeing him take another step today. So it was fun to watch, and it's a progress. It doesn't happen overnight, but he's definitely has the right mindset to put the work in to become really good at his craft. And I'm excited to see, where he is when we start training camp.
I'm excited to see where he is too when you start training camp, because he has, like he said, you have some God-given ability, and you combine that with a work ethic and then the right kind of program and system and leadership with your coaches. You've got the head coach who is a defensive coordinator. He was a linebacker. He knows that position. And another thing that D'Amico said today that it's a cool reminder, because he's talked about this before. people often ask, well, how are you going to use this person or that person? So he talks about what he wants his team to be, right? The swarm, how they're going to go to the ball. He talks about that. But he also said he wants to use players in the way that makes the most sense for them, right? To get the best out of their ability. So there's no cookie cutter thing that you can really expect because it depends on each player and what his ability is, what his strengths are, how they use them. And I think that is the best approach. You've got to be somewhat nimble as an organization, and as a coach, you have to have some flexibility to be willing to do that. And so I'm excited to see more from this team. There's OTAs right now. There's mini camp, but that's not a lot. They're not in pads yet. Nobody's hitting anybody. You get a little bit of, you can see, some things in terms of movement, and there's stuff to see. But until they get to training camp, right, is a whole nother level. So that's going to happen in about a month and a half. And about 6 weeks away is training camp. We, of course, will be there working on trying to do a special if I get the right partners. If you're interested in partnering with me to do a mini special from training camp, you can reach me wherever you are seeing this show. You can drop me a note, inbox me. You can always email me at kim@kimydavis.com, right? kim@kimydavis.com. Where is it? There it is. There's my email address. If you are interested in partnering, sponsoring a segment on this Chalk Talk show, or if you're interested in being a part of a mini camp, a training camp special, I'm working to see if I can put that together for a television special, maybe a half-hour show as we go through camp and start looking at moving toward the season. So continuing to just grow what we do here at Chalk Talk, and I think that'd be fun. It's a new era, and so I'm encouraging you guys to reach out and support. Also, make sure that you please share this video wherever you're seeing it, whether you're watching it live now, hello if you are, and if you're watching the replay, hello if you are. Please share this with your online community. If you're watching on YouTube, please share it on YouTube. If you're watching, share the YouTube link with your community. If you're watching it on Facebook, please share it. And if you're watching it on LinkedIn, it's always cool when I run into people who watch it on LinkedIn, because each platform and each audience is very different. Now, there are some people who say you should only be at one place, right? If I was not in multiple places, there's some of you I would never see. Like the LinkedIn audience the people who watch this show on LinkedIn more than likely would not be watching it anyplace else. So for now, we're going to keep it on all the platforms and still working to move to something additional. Let's see who we have here in the comments. Hello, Sylvia, all the way from Nashville. Thank you very much. It's great when Chalk Talk goes on the road. My sister Sylvia is in Nashville, Tennessee, and she is tuning in for Chalk Talk. Hello, I'm glad you made it safely. And thank you for letting us know, like you should. I was very proud of you, so we didn't have to worry or hunt you down. All right, so I also wanted to let you hear from Cal and Hannah McNair. They met with us today. Now, Mrs. McNair, the mom, was at practice, and the team is going to send a few pictures that we can share. You don't want to invade her space. I mean, Mrs. McNair is older, and she's still, able to, is about her right mind, right? She is still very much present. I'm told that she was today, I didn't know this till today, that she was actually in the draft room on draft day and was pleased with the selection. She was at practice today, checking some things out. One of the things Cal said is that he likes the offense. He's excited about it, but he also had this to say about the rookies.
Well, they're really great kids. They are young. I shouldn't say kids, but I am older, so maybe I can't say that. But they're really great athletes, great attitudes, they're coachable, they're great teammates, and we're excited to see their growth.
They're hungry. I would say they're hungry, they're ready to learn. It's contagious with the guys around them, and you can see that. They're all ready to win.
Question for you, Coach.
They are all ready to win. Listen, if you are a football fan, even if you're not a Houston Texans fan, I'm going to bet that you're probably ready to win too, right? You are ready to win as well. I wanted to also, we can never get through a show and not talk about the Houston Astros, especially in June. So the Astros have struggled a little bit of late. They are 4-6 in their last 10 games. They're still in second place in the American League West behind those pesky Texas Rangers. Who would have thunk it, right? The guys at 45, our neighbors. The Astros are 37-29. And as I mentioned, they play host to the Washington Nationals tonight. Today is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then they will welcome in the Cincinnati Reds over the weekend. It's American League, National League matchups. And tonight's game, where am I? I was trying to see what the line is. Oh, that's last night. Tonight's game. Oh, the Astros are favored, right? The Nationals are 26-38. The Astros are 37-29. Tonight, the Astros are sending Hunter Brown to the mound. His record is 5-3. He has a 3.69 ERA. He's thrown 79 strikeouts and 23 walks. So Hunter Brown is getting the start tonight, and hopefully he has a good outing. You know, he is a big part of what this Astros team is hoping they get, out of their farm system, especially as it relates to starting pitching, because that has been, they've been challenged in that place because of injury. So that is that. What else can I tell you? There was something else I wanted you guys to know about the so although I don't talk a lot about or much about the University of Houston, because the people over there are just not very nice in terms of their sports information folk. I will say that. But their head coach did get he got a raise, an extension. Kelvin Sampson, who has done a great job with that organization, with that ball club, right? With that, since he's been there, he got a new contract. So here's his deal. He is scheduled to make $4.6 million this coming fall, 2023 to 24. And then in the 2024 to 2025 seasons, he's scheduled to make $4.8 million. And 25 to 26, he's scheduled to make $5 million. And in 2026. So he's one of the top 10 highest paid college basketball coaches in the country, right? So the extension is worth really more than $5 million a year, because they're the other things that you throw in, right? The bonuses and the camps and the this and the that. So congratulations to Kelvin Sampson. I like Coach Sampson, and when I did have access, albeit limited, it was cool to talk to him. He's a basketball guy, like he knows the game. And I say that, you go, well, Kim, they're all coaches, they should know it. But some of them have these great conversations where you just learn. You've heard me talk about relationships that I've had with coaches throughout my career, where I've had the privilege of visiting with them and talking and really learning a whole lot more about all the stuff that we do, whether it's, I thought about the other day, Archie Moore, who was a boxing trainer. I got a chance to spend some time with him during George Foreman's comeback. I was writing for the Houston Post and doing talk radio, and I spent 3 days doing this takeout feature on George Foreman. And so I got a chance to spend some time with Archie Moore. And, you just don't spend time with people who have that kind of knowledge about their craft and not walk away being infinitely smarter. You just are. And so that was really cool. I think Kelvin Sampson is one of those guys. Some people say, he likes to talk a lot. Yeah, but he talks a lot and he says stuff. And so congratulations to Coach Sampson that is done, so they don't have to worry about, is he going to go someplace else, and do they have to try to replace him? Although his son is on his staff, who at some point will probably be like, whoops, hey, Dad, When you gonna move on so I can move into the spot? At any rate, I have no idea about any of that. But congratulations to Coach Kelvin Sampson. All right, I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of the biggest news stories happening today, and I think it's probably happening right now. That former President Donald Trump, who was indicted on 37 counts of everything from espionage to obstruction of justice and just not handling your business the way you should as it relates to top secret and confidential documents that belong to the United States government, that belong to the people. That's us, that's me, that's you. The arraignment is today, and I think it's probably happening right now. It may even be over. So that is happening. And why did I mention that? Because it is my opportunity to remind you all that if you are not registered to vote, you need to be registered, right? If you stay registered, you don't have to get registered. So whenever there's a time to vote, you're ready. All you need to focus on is voter information. Make sure you know who the candidates are, the people. What are the policies? What are the issues? What matters most to you and your family? What are your values? And then you should vote those. I live in Texas, which many of you know, and many of you live in Texas that follow the show. But there are other people who follow the show from other parts of the country. And I'm going to tell you, even though Texas is, the thought is nothing you do matters if you don't vote red. I don't believe that. I believe that you have to let your elected officials hear from you. We have to not give up. We have to be resilient. We have to be vigilant, because I was reading some of the information about the Attorney General in the state where I live, Texas, who has been under indictment for years. And now something's finally happening. Now they're finally moving to the place of, I guess there'll be a trial. I guess, I think there was he made somebody mad in the House because they're all Republicans, right? Same party. And the love fest is over. And now there's kind of like the gloves are off. And so one of the things that I read that was really disturbing to me is that he got rid of about 2.5 million votes, and which would have changed the outcome of the last election for governor and some other spots. So I say all that to say, believe whatever you want, but make sure that you're registered. Make sure that your voter registration is up to date, so that when elections come around again in the fall, there are going to be city elections, some state, so that you're prepared, that you're able to vote and participate, and you don't have to worry about the deadline. Just go and get registered now. So I'm just going to encourage you to do that, right? I'm going to encourage that. Hey, it's our legal expert, Charles Lamar Drayton. I can't wait to talk to you, Charles, because I'd like to just know your thoughts about what's happening with these legal proceedings with the former president. It's interesting, as I actually read the indictment. It's not hard reading. I encourage all Americans to do it. I think it's just, I think it's important that you know for yourself what is happening. You don't have to believe what I say or any pundit or person on television. It's public. Go read that document for yourself and see what the charges are. Now, of course, in this country, everybody is, presumed innocent, right? Until you go to trial. You have to be proven to be guilty. But it sure does look like it didn't even have to rise to the level of this, right? He had an opportunity, if everything in the indictment is true, which I tend to, me, Kim Davis, I'm saying I tend to believe that it is. He could have just given the documents back and told the truth. Oh yeah, I got them. Here they are. And we wouldn't even be here today. But here we are. So at any rate, I think it's worth paying attention to. And I can't wait to talk to Charles and maybe have you join me soon about these. The big question I have is the judge who is set to preside over the case, who was kind of had her hand slapped and reprimanded initially with the search warrant before, because she is a Trump appointed judge. That's not why she was reprimanded, but how she handled it. It was like they say she's not really qualified to preside over these cases, but it was so clearly slanted and for former President Trump that the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which is a very, very conservative court. In fact, some say it's the most conservative appeals court in the country. They had to say, nah, man, you can't do this. You're all this is wrong. It's not okay. You're not really qualified to be here, and overturned it. That's my Kim Davis language. They said something much more eloquent, I'm sure. But I can't wait to understand how is it that it is back there and this particular judge can preside over it, which could be problematic, or is it not problematic? Can she, if she doesn't recuse herself, Charles, can they can't make her recuse herself, but is there anything that they can do? Because if the government can't go back and appeal if somehow he is acquitted. Did I get that right? Because that's all I know. That's what I've been reading, and that's terrifying to me. But at any rate, so I want to talk about that. I want to make sure you guys all know it. But listen, as I mentioned earlier in the show, be sure that you go and check out. I have the link pinned at the top of the comments. Freedmanstown. Go there. Know what Freedmanstown is. Go if you've never been there. It's okay. Take your kids. You know, if you work with an organization or a group, if you're in a sorority or you're at a church, go check out Freedmanstown and see what it is. Go to the website and read a little bit about the history. It is a historically Black community settled by formerly enslaved people after the Juneteenth announcement of emancipation in 1865. So as we get ready to talk about this holiday that's coming up this weekend, know something that happened around that time, and you know, maybe there's something that you want to do to be a part of it, to help preserve the legacy of Freedmanstown and inspire people through education and awareness of what's a really, really cool story. It's a really cool story. And while these things are being stripped, you know, this information is being stripped out of our schools, and our children are not having the opportunity to learn in schools, then we've got to teach them, right? You know, we've got to make sure that our young people, and I don't have kids, but I'm happy to help your kids know the history of Houston and whatever community they're in, and Freedmanstown, and all of it, because all of it is a part of our history, right? Not just the part that makes people feel good, not the part that, it's not about stripping the parts that make people feel uncomfortable. I mean, Freedmanstown makes me feel very proud, and reminds me of the rich heritage from which I have come, right? And so right near downtown. And so when I tell you that it's just west of downtown Houston, you know the fight, because the value of that land and its proximity to downtown is one of the reasons that people have fought to try to destroy it and get rid of it, because to them it has value for a different reason. For us, it needs to have value because it's part of our history and we've got to preserve it. So go check out Freedmanstown as you're talking about doing stuff this weekend for Juneteenth. Make sure that you're following me across my platforms. Please do share this show with your community. Next week, we're back on at 11 o'clock. Hopefully we have John Wooten on, talk about a man who's full of walking history. He has been very impactful and played a huge role in Black coaches being hired in the National Football League, in front office people, scouts, general managers. He has been a part of that work for many, many years, starting with the Fritz Pollard Alliance. And I just think it'd be great to have him on. I know some people are trying to hopefully push him through where he gets in the Hall of Fame. He is very, very deserving. I was talking to John McClain at Texans at football practice earlier today, and he said, I asked him about Wooten. He goes, you know, that I don't think nobody says that he's not deserving. The problem is that he would go in as a contributor, and then he's lumped in with like coaches and general managers, and that makes it very difficult. It's a really crowded space. So the more we can talk about a guy like John Wooten, he definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. It'd be great if he got to go in while he's still alive, right? But the work that he has done, the support that he has provided for coaches and scouts and executives throughout the National Football League, to Black coaches and scouts and executives, he's very well respected. I saw him at this past Super Bowl, and he was still navigating, trying to help, you know, a coach that I know who's from this area who has been in the league a while. And, you know, when your staff, your head coach gets fired, oftentimes most of the people are let go as well. Anyway, he's still trying to help people. He's still, as he's slowly moving around on his walker, he is still, because he still has, you know, he's still in his right mind. He is still very well respected, and he's still very passionate about the work. So I really hope that we get John next week, Mr. Wooten. Really, he's Mr. Wooten to me. He's not John. And if not, he'll be on soon with this. He's already agreed to do it. So it's just a matter of working it out. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for Chalk Talk today. Thank you for being flexible about these time changes. Next week, we're back on at 11. And I'll have to find out if during camp, and the season, if Tuesday is not an off day, I'll have to see about if we've got to adjust the time of the show so that it doesn't overlap. We'll figure it out, right? We'll work it out. We always do. But remember this, do something kind for yourself and do something kind for somebody else, right? Make it a great, great day. Make sure that you follow on all the platforms and let me hear from you. If there's something that you'd like for me to put on the show, like if there's a topic you'd like for me to cover, there's somebody you say, you know what, Kim, I'd love to hear an interview with, pick a person, right? Charles Lamar Drayden, we'll drag him back on. I bet you he'll do it, right? He's even in my budget. But seriously, let me know. I'd love to do it. Hello, Josephine. I will see you this week. One of the best masseuses around. Hopefully she can help me with this new kind of knee issue I have. I've never had that before, but I look forward to seeing her on Thursday. Thank you for being a part of the show this week, my friend. Glad I'm getting a chance to get in to see you before you go on whatever this vacation that you're about to have. So anyway, everybody, have a great, great week. If you were celebrating this weekend, doing something to celebrate Juneteenth, just keep in mind what the celebration is about and how you can honor that. That's just a suggestion, right? And if you don't go to Freedman's Town, you could at least log on and read about it. Look at something, watch something that feeds your soul and your spirit in a positive way. Share that with your family and your friends. And if you have kids, know that you've got to get this information into them because they're stripping it out of our schools and they won't be able to learn the super important history about how we got where we are today. All right, make it a great week, everybody. I'll see you next time. Peace.